Hello there and welcome back to Spilling the Paint Water. Happy New Year, first of all. Happy new episode of the brand new year. Hopefully this year is happier and healthy for you all. Now, my name is Chloe Rose and I'm a full-time artist on YouTube. So if you do enjoy this artsy podcast, please feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Chloe Rose Art, or follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Art of Chloe Rose. Today I am joined by the queen of bullet journaling, Amanda Rach Lee. Now, Amanda just hit 2 million subscribers on YouTube and has over 750,000 followers on Instagram. She's not only an incredibly talented and creative person, she's also a very smart businesswoman and has a lot of fantastic wisdom and advice to share in today's episode. If you want to find Amanda online, you can find her on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter as Amanda Rach Lee, and I really hope that you enjoy today's episode. So today I am joined with the lovely Amanda Rach Lee. Amanda, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I know you're very, very busy, and you are one of the most highly requested people I have. Always in my comments, it's like,
really?
Please bring on Amanda. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, thank you to everyone who requested me. I'm here.
Yeah, we are very excited to have you on. So first of all, I just want to say to anyone that for some reason may not have heard of Amanda here, Amanda is the queen of bullet journaling, and you are incredible at it. I've tried it a couple of times. I suck at it, but you know, for anyone that doesn't really know what bullet journaling is, if you want to maybe just give your aspect of what it is.
Yeah, so I mean, I started YouTube like 8 years ago, and it actually didn't start out with bullet journaling. It was more like fashion and DIY content. And then about four or 5 years ago, I discovered bullet journaling, and it's basically just a productivity system. You just kind of need a notebook and a pen. Now it's kind of evolved. A lot of people incorporate a lot of creative things, but like the base of it is just like a productivity planning system. And I guess the turning point for my channel was when I started showing more of that on my channel and like including drawings and art and all of that into the videos.
How did you kind of first get into it? Was it something that you discovered online, or maybe did one of your friends kind of talk to you about it?
Bullet journaling or YouTube?
Yeah, bullet journaling.
Oh, bullet journaling. Yeah, I just discovered it on YouTube. I think I saw the creator of the bullet journaling system. His name is Ryder Carroll, and I happened upon his video a while back, and then it just seemed like something that I would have liked. Like, I've always been a planner person. Going to like the stationery section of the store was my favorite part. And I remember even growing up, whenever my school would give us those like school agendas, I would always try to customize it or change the cover somehow to make it a bit more creative and more personal to me. So I've always been like that stationery girl, the one with like the cool pens and stuff.
That's awesome. When I was a kid, we used to have these like, we called them smelly pens, and you used to just buy them all the time. Yeah, but it was always kids at school. They're like, oh, I've got 7 of these. And I'm like, I've only got 2.
Yeah, I was the one with the like that massive pencil case with way too many pens unnecessary. But, you know, I guess it brought me to where I am now.
Exactly.
Addiction.
And you obviously use them all as well. I feel like so many kids had them but didn't really use them. They just had them for the sake of it.
I mean, that's still questionable. I definitely have an excessive stationery collection now, and I definitely don't use it all. But we don't need to talk about that.
So what really appealed to you about bullet journaling in particular? I mean, you said that you liked obviously drawing, you liked to be organized and everything, but what in particular kind of drew you to it more so than just like a regular journal where you can kind of doodle in the corner? Is it because of the customizational side of things?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was also just like a creative outlet, a way for me to include art and creativity and productivity. And I think it's also like almost like a mental health thing as well. Whenever I do it, I feel a lot more calm and relaxed. And you know, I think we can all just take like a couple 20 minutes, 30 minutes out of our day to do something similar, whether it's bullet journaling or not, where you are just, you know, doing something self-care just to like relax and for yourself. So I think that's also a big aspect of it.
That's actually awesome. I never really viewed it like that before. I've just always been such a disorganized person, and I buy the different journals and stuff, and I just never kind of stick to them.
Yeah, I think I get that comment a lot. And I think because there's so much bullet journaling content on YouTube now, people I think are overwhelmed a little bit by it and think they have to do too much. Especially even mine, like because I've been doing it for so long now, I think that's why mine can look, sometimes I add a lot of doodles and everything, but I always in my videos try to encourage people, like, if you're just starting out, keep it simple, like do what you can. If it's like adding an extra burden to your life and you can't keep up, then it's always good to like go back to basics, because if you actually watch the videos where I first started bullet journaling it back in 2017, they'll look very different from what I do now. And it's just because it just kind of alters to fit like what you need in your life. Some people want to focus way more on the productivity aspect, some people focus more on the creativity, some people focus more on the mental health benefits of it. So it just really depends on the person.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I was trying bullet journaling out myself, I'd mentioned how you're like the queen of it, and I'd kind of use some of you for inspiration. You make it look so simple, and that's what always amazes me about it. Like it looks like it's simple, but it's not at all. Like you try it yourself, it's like, this looks not good. I need to add more, but I don't have the ideas. It's more so not just about how it looks, but also just having the ideas in general about things to add. Like you are very, very creative about it, and I think that's awesome. But for me, you're amazing at it. And I just kept mine like really simple, because I knew that I just know myself, if I do too much with it, it's just I'm not going to ever stick to it. So I just did it super basic, and I'm hoping
that's good.
That I'm hoping I stick to it, but I will never be you. That's for sure. You're just like queen of it.
It's definitely just like anything takes practice. Like by now I have memorized the dimensions of my book, and I know like the exact dot spacing for everything. So like that's also an aspect of it. It's just I've been doing it for so long, so I can make like spreads kind of in my sleep.
That's awesome. Do you like ever struggle for ideas for your monthly spreads?
Yeah, of course. Just like anything. And also tying into it is like I'm a YouTuber who like shares my ideas with other people, so it's very different from if I were to just bullet journal for myself. Like of course I would still be doing this even if it was for me, but there's that added pressure of hundreds of thousands of people watching what you create, and that's definitely been an interesting kind of aspect that plays into my bullet journal, my art, and my videos, that maybe when I first started I didn't really have to worry as much about, because there was less eyes on it. But it's been an interesting journey, and I'm definitely grateful that people are interested, but sometimes it is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously I just do art on my channel, but there's always that pressure there, and I always find that I sometimes struggle to make what I want to make, and I found that my love for art kind of gradually faded away a little bit after a little bit of time, because I'm like, I feel I have to do it versus I want to do it. Do you ever feel like that way?
Yeah, it's like that paradox. It's the whole, whenever people say like, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I just strongly disagree with that, because work, no matter what you do, will always be work. And when your hobby turns into your job, your relationship with that hobby will always change. So that was also something that I struggled with, I would say like a couple years ago. And I've really had to like almost change my mindset about it. It almost felt like if I wasn't seeing it as a hobby and I was doing it as a job on my YouTube, like it felt inauthentic. But in a sense, like leaning into the fact that it is my job feels more authentic than just pretending that it's like, I don't know if I'm describing this right. I kind of had a mental like a epiphany a couple years ago where I was just like, it's okay that it's my job. Like it doesn't I don't need to do it as a hobby and a job, like it's become something so different. And I think I was forcing myself to make it like both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes because I draw so much with work in my free time, I don't want to draw anymore, and I was almost in the mindset of like, in my free time, because art has always been like my passion and like my identity, is like, oh my God, why do I not want to draw in my free time? That means I must not be authentic, and like I'm not a true artist and all of that. And I had all of those worries, but I think recently I've just been a lot easier on myself and like changing my mindset, like, you know what, it is my job, and it's a really cool job, but I don't need to force myself to like have to do it 24/7 in order for it to come off authentic to other people, if that makes sense.
I
I don't know,
agree.
that's still something that I'm like processing and figuring out, because obviously, I'm still, in that sort of journey right now. But it's been an interesting progression, I think, from that like hobby to jobs type of thing.
Definitely. I agree entirely, because I never even planned on doing anything creative whatsoever when I
Right.
did YouTube. And it, like you said, it's the hobby becomes the job, and it just changes the aspect of it entirely. And it's like, you're so grateful, and you feel like, I've got to be grateful. I'm so grateful for it. But then there's the other
Yeah.
side of it where it's like, oh, I don't really want to do it today, but am I a bad person for not wanting to do it because I'm so lucky that I've got this,
Exactly. Yeah. And I think once you kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. I just made sure to be like, okay, you know what? It's okay with that. It's my job. And that way too, because before, when it was like my passion and my hobby, I would let everything that came along with it, like if there was a negative comment, it would directly affect me. And because I associated with like, oh, art is my passion, it's my hobby. But now when people comment on my videos and my art and stuff, like obviously it still hurts, but because it's more so my job, it's
Yeah.
easier for me to separate that. So I think it was really necessary for me to have that separation in terms of like, this is my job, so that it doesn't consume 100% of me. And that way,
Yeah.
any negative parts that come with it, it's my job and it's not only me and like my identity. Yeah.
That's actually a really good way to put it. It's not necessarily just like an extension of yourself. It's now separate. I like that. That's actually a really good way of putting it. I like that. I'll need to like implement that in my brain.
Yeah. I remember because I had talked a lot about this with my therapist, and that I remember when that clicked, I was like, you know what, that makes so much sense, because there's a time when I would let everything, like comments or other people's opinions, let it get to me, and it's still hard sometimes. But when you just make sure to categorize that as like your job, it makes it a lot easier for it to not affect you personally. Like that's just like, that affects work me, Amanda Rach Lee, but not like Amanda Lee as a person.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you think that because it is your job, it benefits in a way because it kind of forces you every month to do the bullet journaling thing? Or do you think even without the videos, you would still be very stringent and do it every single month?
I think it's definitely the videos helps motivate me to do it. I think I would still be doing it whether I was making videos about it or not, but maybe it might look a little bit different. But honestly, I've always been, people always think I'm super organized and I have like all this time management skills, but I'm actually the opposite. I procrastinate a lot.
Yeah.
So honestly, almost like having videos to do and like people expecting and waiting forces me to have better time management. I don't know. It's like kind of like this, which came first, the chicken or the egg situation, where I don't really know what forces me to do what. But I do think having like making content and in general motivates me to create and to do art. So I think it's a good balance.
That's cool. I definitely create more because of YouTube. It's not necessarily the quality that I would make. Before YouTube, I'd make maybe like 6 things a year, but they'd be like very lengthy things. Whereas now it's...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you have less time to do it, but you get more practice in a sense, I guess.
Yeah, I think, and I think there's a book, in a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah. It's the done is better than perfect type of thing, where I think that's something that I've really had to embrace over the years of YouTube, where it's, obviously with any art thing, we would all love for it to be perfect, but sometimes just the fact that you're able to finish things is better than, lengthening the creation process, in which you never know when you'll actually finish something or when something will be perfect. So it's better to just like finish it, create more, and honestly, in that process, you'll surprise yourself with what you make.
Yeah. You're full of a lot of wisdom, you know that.
Thank you.
There's going to be a lot of quotes to this, I feel, because you have a lot of good advice. I like it.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your experience with YouTube. Like, was your growth on YouTube pretty fast when you began doing the bullet journal thing, or was it kind of a slow growing process, or was it like in bits. And do you think it's because you were so niche with the bullet journal related stuff and like the illustration that it helped to propel your channel?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of different eras on my channel. And honestly, in general, I wouldn't say there was a moment where I just like overnight blew up and became viral, which I honestly prefer it that way. I think it's helped me keep like a head on my a good head on my shoulders. I feel like I'm relatively normal, I hope. But yeah, it's just like see other YouTubers who have grown overnight, like almost gone viral, and I just cannot imagine dealing with that type of stress.
A lot.
Yeah, so I started in 2013, which is a lot. This is my 8th year. So it's been a while, and I started when I was 14 years old. So I was grade 9 in high school. Yeah, so I'm 22 now. So it's been like almost half of my life I've been on YouTube. But when I first started, like I mentioned, I was doing mostly fashion, DIY, makeup stuff, and it really wasn't consistent. Like it was just, as I mentioned, I was in high school, so I was just doing it for fun, honestly, keeping it a secret from everyone. Like maybe once a month videos type of thing. And the DIYs were actually probably the most popular videos on my channel at that time. And then near the end of high school, I think I didn't even reach 100,000 by then. Or maybe I did, but I'm not exactly sure. But I was kind of at like that mid-range where I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to take it full time or not. So then after high school, I went to an art program in high school, by the way, where I was doing like visual arts.
Nice.
So after high school, I had ended up going to a business school. And then I was kind of like missing that creative element in my life because in high school I was drawing every day and all of that. And I knew as soon as I got to business school, I was like, I don't think this is for me. So I ended up leaving school and taking a year off with the intentions of going back to a more creative program in the following year. And then in that year off, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to really focus on YouTube. I have nothing to lose. I have nothing else to do while I'm waiting for the next school year to start. So that's when I did YouTube more consistently, posted weekly. And that's also around the time that I started integrating art more into my channel. So it actually started more so with art, not really like bullet journaling. I started doing a bit more drawing videos, and then I discovered bullet journaling, included it on my channel. People wanted to see more of it, but I still wouldn't say that it was like overnight growth. It was more still gradual. So definitely the bullet journal videos and how niche it was helped with like the growth and everything. And obviously at some point people were just really interested in that. So I kind of switched the content over to only art videos and bullet journaling videos and stuff like that. And that was around 4 years ago. And then from there, like I started incorporating more art stuff, more lifestyle stuff, and bullet journaling. But I would say just in general, it's like a really steady growth. I only hit 1 million like two years ago. So that was about 6 years into the channel.
Right.
So, yeah.
I feel like that slow growth is the way that you create longevity too.
Yes.
Because
definitely oh, sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. It kind of gradually gets there, but people kind of stick with you all the time, and then you just have that kind of, like, say you stay relative to people can feel they relate to you, and I just feel like that's the best way to get longevity. And you know, when channels do blow up so much, if ever in the future it doesn't happen anymore, it's like the higher you go, the harder it is to fall, you know.
Yeah, so I definitely think that helped me build an actual community.
Yes.
And I always say, like, this kind of applies to everything, but like the faster I am really full of a lot of like random wisdom, but like the faster you rise, it's like the quicker you fall, the harder you fall type of thing. So and I've seen that with a lot of channels. Like I really liked the way that my channel grew because it felt very natural. And like you said, you know, you build a more long-term connection with your viewers. So now I feel very close with my viewers and my community, and that's something I'm really grateful for because they have been coming back to my channel, you know, week to week, month to month, and it's kind of like that, you know, consistent back and forth relationship, and I feel like we can both rely on each other. So that's been something I'm really proud that I was able to develop that with them.
Now, this episode is kindly sponsored by Apostrophe, a prescription skincare company for people that are ready to take their acne and other skincare problems seriously. Now, I've actually been using Apostrophe for myself for Retin A for probably about a year and a half now. I am getting to that age where I just want to start taking better care of my skin in the form of anti-aging, because prevention is always more effective than remedying it when it's already happened. So essentially, Apostrophe is this awesome board-certified dermatologist online, so no physical in-person appointments. Your prescription skincare treatment is shipped directly to your door, and as somebody who hasn't left the house since March 2020, this is awesome for me. Now, they have a huge range of skincare products and services they can offer, whether it's for anti-aging to help wrinkles, acne, dark spots, reducing redness, and more. Normally, you have to see a doctor, sit in line at a pharmacy and wait for your prescription, which is a pain, but Apostrophe is your dermatologist online. You fill out the questionnaire about your skin concerns and medical history, take selfies of your skin, and your dermatologist will get back to you with a customized treatment plan tailored for you. They offer both topical and oral medications as well. My mum was actually the one that recommended Retin A and Apostrophe to me, and my mum looks like my sister, so I was obviously going to take skincare advice from her. My dermatologist got back to me very quickly with my treatment plan, and it was shipped to me and arrived within the span of a week. Also have it auto shipped to me every 3 months, so when I run out, I always have a new bottle. The best part is I didn't have to call or talk to anyone on the phone. Now, my skin has improved significantly since I've been using it. It's much smoother, and any fine lines that like to make an appearance on my face, it shuts it down. No, they go away. The dehydration or anti-aging aspect is just, it looks much better. To get started, go to apostrophe.com/paintwater and click begin visit. Then use the code paintwater at sign up and you'll get $15 off your dermatology visit. That's apostrophe.com/paintwater. And thank you so much to Apostrophe for sponsoring today's podcast. Yeah, you definitely have a very beautiful community. Like, it's very positive and uplifting. Whenever I, see your Instagram posts, or if ever I'm like watching one of your videos, that you just have a lovely community, and you deserve it because you work hard, and you've been there throughout, and they've been there with you. So I just think that's awesome.
Thank you. That's actually, whenever other YouTubers notice that and comment on that, that's what makes me the most proud, because we all know how nasty the internet can be.
Yep.
And I'm not saying I get no hate, definitely get some hate,
yeah,
but that just comes with having a large audience. But I would say for the most part, for how large my community is, it is overwhelmingly positive, and I'm so grateful for that, because I'm a fragile human. I would not be able to deal with toxic.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, first of all, as well, congratulations, because you just hit 2 million subscribers.
Thank you. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's so exciting. Who would you say brand-wise has been, or I say who, what brands in particular do you think have been the most fun to work with, or what brands would you like to work with in the future?
I think there's a couple different levels to this, and I think a lot of YouTubers would agree. There's the brands that you're you just enjoy working with, because they're super easy to work with, and there's always those those brands that are a little picky, and those ones are not fun to work with. So there are just long-term brands that have really helped me and supported me throughout my channel, like Skillshare, and I think that they really fit with what I do on my channel. We've created a lot of exclusive content for their platform, and then they've helped me with with sponsoring my videos as well. So I just really like that we're able to do something different than just a plug on my channel. I'm able to create content for their platform, and it's exclusive. And we actually we filmed something this year, and it was a really fun set day. So that whenever you're able to do something a little bit different than the typical shout out, I think that's always super fun. Another brand that I really liked working with this year was Samsung. We did a lot of cool things with that, and I did a lot of drawing stuff, and we ended up doing something for the Emmys that ended up going on TV during a commercial. So that was super cool.
That's so cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was really cool. Thank you. So yeah, whenever brands do things and go out of their way to make sure that a brand deal really fits with the creator, or that it's really unique, that's when I enjoy it the most, because then it's not just I'm filling up their number quota for views, because they can get that with pretty much any creator. But whenever I notice that a brand puts in the work to make sure that the creator fits their campaign and what they're looking for, that's when I'm wow, they actually care.
That's awesome. I agree entirely. It's so important when they kind of put in the effort, because obviously it's a lot of effort on our part as well, but you can always tell when they put effort in to build like a relationship, a working relationship. I love Skillshare too. They've supported me so many times. I think I've done about 35 sponsored videos with them over the last few years. But your bullet journal class on Skillshare is awesome. I actually recommended it in either my last video or the video before when I was working with Skillshare. I was like, check out Amanda's bullet journal class.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So
they really are the best, and I think in terms of like brands supporting independent artists especially have been kind of a pioneer in that, because it's just like from both ends, like the creators side, they support the creators platform, and then the creators support them by helping them with content. It's just a cool relationship in general. And honestly, like I actually really like the platform too. Like I've taken a couple classes, so it's just great. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I love it. I literally used Skillshare before I even started working with them. And my brother uses it as well. He's like, uses my account. He's like, I'm going to learn stuff about this or that. So it's helpful.
This podcast is not sponsored
by Skillshare. Gonna email them now. Do you ever, and every YouTuber I talk to either struggles with this or not at all, do you ever struggle with YouTube when it comes to things like views or like the algorithm changes? Is it something that you ever worry about in regards to that? Because some people do, or some people are just like, it is what it is.
This one's tough, and I think I used to worry about it a lot more. I still do, and I think any YouTuber, unless they're really like don't really care, we all care about it in some way. You know what I'm saying? But I used to stress over it a lot more, I guess, than usual, than I do now, I mean. But I think now I'm at this point where, like I mentioned, I don't want to go viral and like blow up and have 10 million subscribers. Like that's not what I want from YouTube. And, you know, I've been on this platform for 8 years, so I feel like, you know, I've kind of done a lot of things. So honestly, what I just want is to have fun and enjoy posting content and connect with people. And I'm honestly just grateful that people have stuck around for that long. So this one's tough. Like I do care in that, like obviously if a video doesn't do as well as I expect, that's when you're like, oh, like I expected this to do a little bit better. But it's not like I let that stop me from creating that content anymore. It's more so just like a mental note of like, okay, that didn't do as well, like maybe I'll just change something up in the future, or but I don't let it directly affect like my self-worth, if that's what you're asking.
That's good. You're definitely a good example of somebody that's built that. Like I said, you obviously have the longevity, but you do have a longevity on YouTube, and some channels do, you know, unfortunately just kind of die after a while, but you've definitely been someone that's stayed so relevant throughout the years because you keep up with the trends, or you keep up with just being yourself and building your quality content and not, you know, letting up on it. So I think it's very admirable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's always that balance. Like when you stick to the trends too much, then it's like, you know, when that trend dies out, then you like, where do you go from there? But if you don't catch up with the trends enough, then it's like you don't gain the newer people. So it's an interesting balance, and obviously with all the YouTube algorithm changes, you know, you kind of have to keep up with that as well. Like the platform looks way different than when I first started 8 years ago. But it's been interesting. I think actually recently I've been enjoying the algorithm. I know a lot of people complain about it, but personally I find I've discovered so many new YouTubers. I know a lot of people were frustrated with like the sub boxes and notifications and not everything, you know, but like personally I found that like, you know, the suggested videos have been like very on point with what I want to watch, and I've discovered a lot of new people. So when I think about it as a consumer of YouTube content, I like the algorithm, and I think that's really important too when you're a creator, is to actually be a consumer of the platform. Like genuinely, because I think a lot of people aren't, and you can tell when they're not. You
need to know what, if you would want to watch it, would other people want to, you know? I agree entirely.
I would say, carry on. I talk a lot.
No, you're fine.
If that's not clear.
It's great for a podcast.
Yeah. I would say like I consume almost as much YouTube content as I do like making it. So that's why I think I still am on YouTube and still, you know, enjoy it and all of that. And I think that's really important because a lot of people, once they start making YouTube content, they'll stop watching it. And then that's when you kind of become out of touch with your audience and the culture on the internet in general.
Absolutely. Do you kind of watch content similar to the content that you make, or do you watch content that's totally different?
Yeah, I watch. I mean, obviously, I'll watch a couple things here and there, but I watch content that's totally different. And I think for any artist, that's really important because all of your references and anything, your own style and who you are as a human is just built up of like all the media and like references that you consume. So, yeah, I consume a lot of different content, and it's definitely not all like bullet journaling or art content.
That's good. I think that's important too. I feel that I spend so much time making my own content, I get kind of bored of the art content, so I look for stuff outside of it. I mean, there's still a couple of friends that I religiously watch to support them, and more so than anything, more so than watching art content, I look at it for like a point of reference just to see what's going around and what's relevant right now. But other times I look at other communities and videos that I like to watch, and then I try to see, is there a way that I can, put that into the art community a little bit, like I look at the beauty community and I don't watch it too much, but sometimes I'll get some really good suggestions of creative ideas they've had. So then I'm like, can I do that with art supplies?
Right. So it's almost more so like looking at the video format for inspiration rather than like the actual content itself. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I always think that's quite fun. Your Instagram is also very, very big as well. Is that something that you managed to grow because of YouTube, or was it there beforehand, or is it just, obviously it's such an essential tool to have with like your business and everything that you sell now with your journals? How have you grown that to be, where it is, alongside how big your YouTube is too?
Yeah, that was actually a very conscious effort. So a while back, I actually had separated my Instagram because I was in that weird phase of like I had switched from beauty and fashion to art. There was that weird transition period where I wasn't sure whether like all of my audience would want to see the art stuff or all of like who would want to see what. So at the beginning, I had initially switched my Instagram to being, I had an Amanda Rach Lee one, which was just like all my lifestyle stuff, and then I had Amanda Rach Doodles, which was only my art stuff.
Right.
And then eventually, because obviously the art stuff got more popular on my channel, Amanda Rach Doodles grew bigger than Amanda Rach Lee. So then I made the decision to actually merge the two and only have Amanda Rach Lee, and that's where all of my content, whether it be like lifestyle or art, was on it. That was still like 4 years ago, so everything was smaller. But like you mentioned, Instagram is a really important tool for growth and for your business and for artists especially. And I think with YouTubers especially, a lot of people see it only as a way to promote their YouTube videos. Like I'll see a lot of YouTubers who will only post Instagram when they post a new YouTube video and be like, check out my new YouTube video. Where it's like, if someone is dedicated enough to your content to follow you on Instagram, they probably already have notifications on or are subscribed to you, so they don't need to see the same thumbnail reposted on Instagram and you telling them to go watch the YouTube video because they're on Instagram, So I really do make a conscious effort to like post additional content on Instagram that's completely separate from YouTube. And even if it doesn't necessarily promote my YouTube, that's totally fine because I'd rather have it there for visibility purposes. Actually, at one point, there was a large portion of my Instagram audience that didn't even know I had a YouTube channel.
Wow.
So like a good example of this is when I do like my bullet journal videos on YouTube, it's only like the monthly beginning of the month setups, but then at the beginning, I did weekly live streams on YouTube for every weekly spread. And that's content they could only get on Instagram. So there was like almost a motivation for people to follow me on Instagram. So like if they wanted to see how the rest of the bullet journal setup turned out, they had to go to Instagram. I don't do Instagram live streams anymore,
Mm-hmm.
just in case anyone is kidding. Just because like live streaming on Instagram is kind of weird, but
Yeah.
I still post like the weekly spreads there. I do the live streams on Twitch now. But yeah, I think cross-platform, being active on a lot of different platforms and not just like the same reposting the same content
Mm-hmm.
is really important, because and I think Instagram is a really great place for you to like find, or for your audience to find you, and for them to keep up with your daily life as well. So yeah, it's been a really conscious, I'm actually kind of impressed that you noticed that, because it's been a really conscious effort of mine to like really focus on growing them separately as two different things.
Yeah, absolutely. You provide a lot of value both on YouTube and Instagram as well. And something I noticed is you do a lot of reels now, and they do really well because they're they're very addictive to watch. And I mean, like, I'm not even trying to draw those things. I'm just like, I'm going to watch this one. It's so satisfying to watch.
Yeah, that was something where it's like, honestly, any creator now, if you're a creator, you can kind of clue into what Instagram is pushing on people based on the platform changes. Whether you like it or not, you can tell what they're pushing. You know, we all have seen the buttons move different places recently, and you can tell, like, when you go to the Discover page, it's like all reels. So you can take that as kind of like clues of what to post. But they are just kind of fun to post also. Like, I've really fallen down the TikTok hole as well, and I enjoy that platform too. And I think a lot of creators, me included, when TikTok was first coming up, there was a lot of resistance to it, because it's like, oh my God, another platform to keep up with. And I was that person too that was like, oh, it's all these 12-year-olds dancing on TikTok. And then once you actually get into the culture, like, you get addicted. I'm like, this is fun. This is a cool platform. It has its own culture and vibe. And just like YouTube, you actually have to be a consumer of it in order to enjoy it and to create good content that is authentic. So once I started doing that, obviously, like, Reels and TikTok, it's kind of like intertwined. So I really enjoyed doing that too.
Yeah, you've done such a great job with both of them. Do you ever find it difficult? Like, I personally find it quite difficult to keep up with YouTube and Instagram at the same time, because I'm like, again, it's that, oh, I don't want to repost the same stuff. But then I'm like, well, I could chop down this video to make it shorter. But then I'm like, maybe I should make something original, but I don't know what it should be. But I've noticed how Reels are good, and I'm just trying to, in my mind, figure out how I can utilize Reels to to provide value. Like, you know, you provide a lot of value.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. Trust me, I feel you, where I'm like, I don't know how many platforms I can. There's always something that like lacks behind.
Yeah.
And in your head, you're like, oh, I just wish everything I could put the same amount of effort into all of it. But I think that's another thing, and I've noticed this with a lot of my YouTuber friends too. I'm like, I tell them, you know, you're doing enough. Like, don't stress yourself out too much. And I try to tell that to myself too. So yeah.
That's good. That's awesome. Especially now you do Twitch too.
Oh yeah.
There's so much
fun.
Much fun. I need to start watching some of your live streams. I'm just so bad at keeping up with everything.
Well, like, Twitch was I actually started Twitch because I was so stressed out with everything else. Which is interesting. It's like, why would you start another platform if you're stressed out with everything? But it's because it's so minimal effort. Like, I just turn on the camera and you're just kind of done after that 1 hour. And actually, a lot of people, especially artists or YouTubers, will film while they're doing Twitch, and then they'll like edit down whatever they did on Twitch, and that's like their main YouTube video. So I think that's like a really cool workflow that could be really efficient for some people.
That is smart.
But yeah, I do Twitch weekly, or I do like twice a week on Twitch. So it's only like a couple hours per week, and there's no editing, which is like, you already know, that's the longest part of any YouTube videos. So.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk a little bit about your journals too.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're so awesome. When did you kind of know that you wanted to make your own journals? Was it something that someone approached you about, or was it something you planned and you kind of researched manufacturers, or how did you kind of start that whole process?
So pretty much like a year or two into bullet journaling content on YouTube, like, I already knew that this was something that I wanted to make, because there were so many people who were commenting on my videos, or like, what supplies to use, one, do you sell these? You should sell these. I don't have time to make any of these. I wish you would sell, like all of those types
Mhm.
of comments. So I was kind of like, it was kind of an idea in my head, but I knew that if I did it, I would really want to do it right.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many creator merch that is just kind of like meh.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of third-party merch companies out there. You probably know like all of them, where you can just like send in an image and they'll just kind of
Yeah.
like print it on anything, and you just don't know the quality. You have no
Yeah.
control. And I've also had a lot of companies reach out to me of like me doing a collaboration with them
Mhm.
and stuff. So there is pros and cons of both, in that, like, you know, some have smaller startup costs, some there, you know, you have more creative control. But I think the best option for me was really just starting from scratch, and especially for like what I wanted to create. So it took me a couple of years to really get it going.
Mhm.
Like I mentioned, the idea was first was like planted in my mind in, I want to say like 20 end of 2017, early 2018.
Mhm.
And I really put it into motion like 2019. I discovered, like you said, did all the research, and we eventually created it. And but yeah, the model that I have is more so, it's basically just a small business, because it's not a collaboration with any
Mhm.
brand or anything. Like, I do everything myself on the back end. And yeah, so it was definitely a lot of work. They're actually right here.
I know, I was seeing them, they're so pretty.
Yeah, but yeah, we have, so the first launch was for the 2020 Doodle Planner, which was a planner mixed with a coloring book, mixed with the journal. It basically had all of my drawings with no color in them, like the black and white outlines.
Mhm.
And it's a planner, and you can color in the doodles for like a little bit of creativeness. And it has like some layouts and stuff like that. And then we also have like blank dotted notebooks. And then recently we came out with washi tapes as well. And then this year we launched the 2021 Doodle Planner. So it's our second year
That's
this
so
coming year. Yeah.
awesome. I would love to see your journals in places like Target or bookstores or anything like that. Do you think
Maybe.
you could get into something like that? Because that'd be so cool.
That is like a whole other, I haven't even ventured into that world yet,
Uh-huh.
because honestly, right now, like even just direct to customer is so stressful.
Oh, yeah.
But that would probably be, actually, that would probably be less stressful, because, you know, I would probably need, there would be people like taking over that. But it's definitely something that's a possibility. Obviously, be really cool. But I think right now I'm just focusing on creating like really good quality products that people want to see. And I'm lucky enough that I have an audience. So, you know, they're really interested in like what products I create. So I do take that with like a really big sense of responsibility. And I don't want to just shove out like anything and try to get it to the most people out there, because that's not the point of, like, I'm not just trying to sell as many as I can. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to create more just like different merch products, because I think there's so many of the same YouTuber merch out there.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm just
agree.
trying to come out with like different stuff.
It's awesome. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I have a couple of questions for you that people submitted.
Yeah, sure.
The first
By the way,
one is,
there's a really cool rainbow on your face
oh,
right now.
on my
It's, like,
face.
yeah.
I have like a film on my window because it's like right at the front of my house, and there's no curtain here because it's like an arch. So at night time I can come in here and not worry about weirdos like looking in the window.
I was like, this is very aesthetic. I love it.
It goes on the carpet too, and I think I've got stains on it, and I realize it's just the window film. Someone asks, how do you find motivation for your themes, and how do you kind of think about the themes for each month?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. I think when I first started, Pinterest was obviously like a really big source of inspiration. At this point now, I've been doing it for so long. This coming year is going to be my 5th year of bullet journaling. So I've seen a lot of the same like Pinterest stuff. So, and now even too, I don't want to sound like salty or anything, but if I do anything that's remotely related to someone else,
People
like,
say you're copying.
And you know how intense
Yeah.
like the art community can get about like credit, and I think credit is so important, but I
Sometimes
really
you just have the same ideas, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes people get attacked for no reason.
Yeah.
and that goes both ways. I've seen some of my viewers even like comment on other people's stuff saying that they've like copied from my channel, and it's like, I don't know. Let's just all be nice. Give credit where credit's due. There's no need for like attacking and stuff. And the whole point is like, I think you've probably seen this quote too. It's like, steal like an artist, you know, like everyone's inspired by everyone. And at some point it's kind of like, where is the original inspo even from, right? But anyway, because of that, I think it has kind of subconsciously forced me to like not go on Pinterest, because I just I just want to avoid all of that. So now I don't really go on Pinterest that much for my ideas. I'm really afraid of people taking my words out of context. So if I really appreciate that people are like protecting my work, and like they do, sometimes there are really valid ones where like they genuinely are copying my work and not giving credit. But I think the ones where I'm like, it's fine, is where it's like, they've given credit, it's totally fine, like, you know, or sometimes there's not enough of a connection. So yeah, just I'm terrified of the internet, if that's not already apparent. Anyway, yeah, so I don't go on Pinterest that much, but I think where I get my inspiration now is just like everything in my daily life, things that I actually enjoy. Like recently I've been doing a lot of themes of stuff that I just do in my daily life. Like in November, I was really addicted to playing Among Us. So then that eventually transformed into an Among Us bullet journal theme. In August, I did like a Studio Ghibli theme, because those are some of the films that have really formed me as an artist, and I loved them as a child growing up.
Yeah.
I did, what else did I do?
A coronavirus theme.
Have not done that. Although you would be surprised at the weird requests that I get for themes.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Yeah. There's a lot of things. But yeah, I just kind of like, if I do things that kind of feel authentic to me at the time, and I really try to come up with different ideas. I should hope that
they're very creative.
Thank you. Yeah,
they're really good.
That's kind of what takes the longest part of me filming, is just kind of sitting there coming up with like different ideas, because it would be so easy for me to kind of just spew out more of the same thing like that I have done. But I really, especially this past year, I really forced myself to experiment with a lot of different styles.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really liked there was one with like I feel like it was like internet browser windows, I think you did, or something like that. Yeah. It was like, I really liked that theme. That was very creative.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. I'm gonna ask one more question, then I'll let you live your day. Let's see. What are your favorite color combinations and styles to do in your bullet journal?
Color combos. I love anything pastel. I think anything pastel and neutral. Sometimes I have to force myself to use more color. But like my favorite color combination right now is like pink and like a sage minty green.
Ooh,
like
a light love pink. Mint green.
Yeah. More of like maybe like a pistachio green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like more on the green side. But like a light coral pink and green. That's my favorite color combo right now. Or like anything beige toned, I love.
Awesome. Well, that'll be it for the questions, but thank you so much for joining me today, Amanda. It was lovely talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And if you want to let everyone know your Instagram and YouTube stuff.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is Amanda Rach Lee, and so is my Instagram. It's Amanda Rachlee. And then I also, like I mentioned, do Twitch streams. So that's also Amanda Rach Lee. Basically just the same username everywhere. But yeah, I just do a lot of art stuff and lifestyle stuff and bullet journaling. So come hang out. It's pretty chill, wholesome, positive vibes.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you again, Amanda, for joining me. And I'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.